Football has finally returned. I cannot wait. Tomorrow we are getting college football back in our lives as Kansas State and Iowa State kick it off with the college football 2025 season lid lifter in Dublin, Ireland. 10 a.m. kick, 5 p.m. across the pond. And it's going to be Farmageddon on a neutral field. It's going to be epic. I think it's the 105th edition of Farmageddon. It's pretty epic rivalry, honestly. When you dive into the history of K-State, Iowa State, they're just two programs that historically were never good. So it never got much attention, this matchup, but it's been one that's been taking place for a long time, and it takes on a national stage as we're all clamoring for football. But I cannot wait to see this, and it's a spotlight game for the Big 12, two top 25 teams, and it's the first ever top 25 matchup, international waters in college football. But it got me thinking, should BYU pursue a future international game? BYU has played two games in its history overseas. Back in 1978, they played UNLV in Yokohama, Japan. They beat the Rebs 28-24 in front of 27,500 fans. And then in 1987, they also played Colorado State in Old Wackfo in, I think it's Melbourne. The Australians say that, but maybe it's Melbourne. I don't know the pronunciation ever of this one. Melbourne, Australia. They beat Colorado State 30-26, only in front of 7,652 fans. It's been, 38 years since BYU last played overseas. Should BYU change that and pursue a future international game? I think they should. If there's one program in college football that should, besides like a Notre Dame, I'd even say a Nebraska they don't have a national following, but they kind of do. They just travel at epic levels. BYU should have an international game. They 100% should. With the international global following of BYU, you could play it in Dublin. You could play it in Mexico City. You could play it in London. You could play it anywhere. BYU fans would show up in numbers. Now, the downside to BYU for an international game, I've been kind of following the Aer Lingus College Football Classic social media for this K-State, Iowa State game, and you see all these decorations inside pubs. BYU's not going to give you that. They're not going to be pounding the Guinness. They're not going to be drinking that. But what they will give you is fans at the game. Next year, the Big 12 has TCU going to Ireland to play North Carolina. So another Big 12 game, Big 12 ACC for that one. The Big 12 has women's basketball going to Paris, Baylor versus Duke. And they obviously had that, the ideas of Big 12 Mexico, maybe a bowl game down there. I want to see BYU in an international game. And I look at this too. So the 2028 schedule, Oregon State went off the schedule. There's an opening. You'd probably have to tie this down pretty quick to get some, time built up for fans to plan travel to go international. So this would probably have to be identified soon, but why not in 2028 an international game on that schedule? I mean, I'd love another home game, but international game, please. I think Mexico City would be awesome because I'm sure you got a lot of members of the church down in the Latin America area. And then I think a lot of Cougar fans from the United States, of course, would travel down to Mexico and make that happen. BYU would pack the house in Mexico. Dublin, you'd have a lot of fans, but maybe you don't pack it. Mexico City would just be off the charts BYU atmosphere. So that's what I want to see. I want BYU in Mexico City down the road for an international game. That's what I want to see one day. The pros, BYU has that international fan base. The cons, again, they're not going to the pubs. They're not drinking the beers. And if that's what you want out of these teams doing an international game, BYU's not going to deliver that. That's just what it is. I am curious, though, to see on Saturday what the fan attendance looks like between K-State and Iowa State. Iowa State was an absolute bust at the Big 12 championship game. I expect K-State will be the bigger fan base representing in Ireland. That would be my expectation. So we'll see how it goes. But now it ties into our picks for the weeks and Big 12 Week 0 picks. Iowa State, Kansas State. We'll start off with that one in Ireland. I am going with Kansas State. They got a little bit of retooling on the offensive line, but I love their talent on the defensive side. Austin Romaine at linebacker. Avery Johnson, I'm still bought in. I still believe in Avery being one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. So I'm going to go K-State. I'm much higher on them than Iowa State, who lost their star wide receivers. I think Iowa State kind of takes a little bit of a step back. Not too much, but I just don't think they're that double-digit win team as they were last year. So I think K-State wins by a touchdown. And then the other Big 12 game in Week 0, Kansas versus Fresno State, 4:30 p.m. kickoff on Fox. Kansas debuting its new look David Booth Stadium. It's a multi-phase renovation, so they got phase 1 done, and it looks spectacular. It's the first reconstruction in that stadium since it was originally built in the 1920s. So much needed, and Kansas is showing the investment in football like never before and showing that they're more than just a basketball school. I think this could be a very close game. Last year, Kansas was a favorite against UNLV, a Mountain West team, and lost. Fresno State, not as good as UNLV last year, I would expect, but I think Fresno can keep it close. Kansas, I'm just not sold on. I'm not buying into them until Jalen Daniels can stay healthy and actually finish games. I know last year he broke the hearts of BYU fans and Colorado fans, but it was a flash in the pan, I think. It was just like a perfect storm. They showed their abilities, but they're not consistent enough. I think this could be a close game, but I will go Kansas with the win, but I'm expecting a close one between Kansas and Fresno State. But that's going to do it for my Week 0 picks in the Big 12 Conference. We will be rolling those out every Football Friday here on Cougar Tracks, and I appreciate all of you for tuning into the show again and making this first week absolutely outstanding on KSL News Radio, KSL Sports YouTube, and the podcast feed. I will talk to you again, well, tomorrow on Cougar Sports Saturday. Going to hold it down from noon to 3. Go subscribe to that feed as well. And then we will be back on Monday here with a new Cougar Tracks for game week as Cougar football is finally here. Enjoy your weekend, everyone.